Over the past 5 or 6 weeks, I have made numerous videos covering all of the cool stuff from the Octo expansion art book. There are some really cool ideas in there that unfortunately Nintendo didn't use for the final DLC. One thing that stood out to me was the interesting designs that Nintendo did come up with for some of the characters in Octo expansion DLC. So what I thought would do is look past the Octo expansion art book and look at all of the art books that Nintendo did release for Splatoon and Splatoon 2 and pick out some of the interesting character designs that Nintendo did come up with for some of the fan favourite characters in Splatoon. If these designs made their way to the final games, it could have made for a very different Splatoon. Let's start off with the main playable characters for Splatoon, Inklings. They started off life very differently to how we know them right now. They started off life as a white tofu block. Nintendo used white tofu blocks to test out the mechanics of the game. Then Nintendo put in established characters into the game. Yoshi was the main character for Splatoon. Nintendo did test out that idea before they then moved over to having rabbits as the main characters for Splatoon. This didn't work out just because Nintendo thought, you know what? We've got ink in the game, why are rabbits shooting ink? And then they thought, you know what, squids, they would be a better fit to the mechanics of the game. So that is how they did come up with Inklings. But Inklings originally, they looked really different to how we know them right now. They were some human sort of squid-like creatures before we did get the final Inkling design. So if we did get Yoshi, for example, it could have made for a completely different game. We wouldn't have got Inklings, we wouldn't have got all of the rest of the characters, Squids, Octolings, DJ Octavio, and the lore of the game. The game would have been a lot different if we did get Yoshi as the playable character instead of the squid-like creatures, Inklings, we got for the final game. I'm really glad we didn't get those squid-like human figures. They definitely do look really weird. I'm really glad that Nintendo did refine those designs to the Inklings. Let's not forget about Octolings though, just because Octolings, they did look very different as well. The enemy Octolings in the single player campaigns, they did look a lot different to the final version we got. Also, the playable Octolings look a lot different to what we got as well. The female Octoling could have got spiked hair, and the afro that the male Octoling does have. The playable Octolings could have got some different hairstyles as well. Unfortunately, these haven't come to the game yet. I'm hoping they will come to the game really soon. I know the community would love to see these hairstyles, but at the moment these are just unused. I don't think they will ever come to the game. But yeah, the Octolings, they could have got some different hairstyles. The Octolings could have looked a lot different to the Octolings that we've got in the game at the moment. We could have got some really cool hairstyles. Moving on to the idols, and there are a couple of interesting pages in the original Splatoon art book that shows that the Squid Sisters, they could have looked a lot different to how we know them today. The designs on the top left of the first page definitely does look really interesting, but the design that stands out to me is the one on the second page in the top right. I get a Disney-like vibe from it. So yeah, the Squid Sisters, the early designs for the Squid Sisters, they are definitely a lot different to what we eventually got from Nintendo. And even when they settled on designs that resembles more what we know the Squid Sisters look like in the actual game, even when they settled on that sort of design, there are some slight differences to what we eventually got as well. It seems like Nintendo, they were toying with the Squid Sisters or the idols in Splatoon being cheerleaders instead of just pop idols, just because you can see Callie and Marie with roller skates. They definitely do have a slightly different design as well. Their hair is slightly longer. It slightly looks a little bit different as well to what they eventually look like in Splatoon 1. So yeah, it definitely is really interesting to see early Squid Sisters designs. Talking about idols, and we can't really make this video without talking about Pearl. Pearl was originally an Octoling. This was featured in the second Splatoon art book. It definitely did cause shockwaves in the community when the art book did come out. Even Marina, she has a slightly different early design compared to her final design, with her beta version having slightly longer hair. Commander Tartar, the final boss of the Octo expansion DLC, could have been a lot different as well. The Hikara Walker, the Octo expansion art book, shows that Commander Tartar could have been an astronaut, he could have been a metallic astronaut figure, or he could have been a figure with long thin legs, or he could have been the blender seen in the DLC as well. Captain Cuttlefish's early designs definitely do look really interesting. There is one design that shows that he could have had a shell-like head. Other designs show that he could have had different types of clothing as well. I guess the one thing that stands out about Merch is that he has only one eye. But Nintendo, in their early designs, they were thinking about putting 2 eyes on Merch instead of just the one. Other designs show that Merch could have had a pink bobbly hat as well. Merch definitely did look really different in his early beta designs. I guess the same can be said for Sheldon as well, who looks completely different to his early beta design. His early beta design was a taller, fatter figure who definitely looks more aggressive than Sheldon. I'm really pleased that we got Sheldon instead of his early beta design, but his early beta design definitely is really cool to look at. It definitely is really cool to see how different Sheldon could have looked like if we did get the early beta design. Let me know your thoughts about that beta design in the comment section below. Float and Bisque look a lot different in their early beta designs as well, but there is one drawing that stands out to me. Now, in the Kirby fan base, there is the whole buff DDD sort of meme knocking about after one of the games featured a buff muscular version of King DDD. There is a drawing that shows a muscular Octotrooper. We could have had a much different Octotrooper enemy. So yeah, that was a look at early beta designs for some of the fan favourite characters in the world of Splatoon. It is definitely really interesting to look at all of the rejected character designs that Nintendo did come up with for all of the characters that I did feature in this video. Let me know your thoughts about everything I've covered in the comment section below. But that is it for this video, and I will see you in my next video, hopefully.